Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Hunter, and I'm chair of the class of County Democrats. Thank you for coming today. We're excited to get to know you a little bit better and find out about what your vision for Astoria is. So please tell me your name and the position you're running for.
My name is Vance Lump, and I'm running for Astoria City Council in Ward 4.
Okay, thanks. And what has moved you to take this role in the community?
I decided to run for city council because I've been seeing a trend that it's harder and harder for working people in Astoria to thrive due to the cost of housing. And uh, uh, there's a lot the city can do to work on that issue. They're working on it now, but I think that there's more that they could do. And so through my advocacy through the Astoria Housing Alliance, I've been really familiar with what the city's been working on. And when I saw that there was an election coming up for Ward 4, I was excited to put my name in the ring for that.
Great. And tell me a little bit about your experience that's prepared you for this position.
So I am a homeowner and small business owner here in Astoria. I just started my business, Astoria Wood Windows, about 2.5 years ago. And so I've gone through the process of what it takes to get a business running here in town. I just hired my first employee a few weeks ago. So now I'm providing a job for someone, which creates a whole nother level of wanting to make sure our community is working for working people. Um, and in January of this year, I helped found the Astoria Housing Alliance, which is a nonprofit that advocates for pro-housing policy here in Astoria, with a group of 8 other motivated Astorians. And then I've just been going to city council meetings for probably the last 2 or 3 years, really almost every meeting this year since I decided to run at the end of 2023. Otherwise, I've served on the board at the Astoria Co-op for some time as the employee representative, and have been active in the historic preservation community with like Historic Landmarks Commission meetings and participating with the historic preservation program at the college.
Awesome. Um, uh, So you mentioned your involvement with the affordable housing groups in Astoria. So what are your thoughts on ways to increase the availability of affordable housing in Astoria?
The most important thing is to try to reduce the cost of building housing. So the truth is we just have to build more things. And when I talk to developers about why we're not building things, it's if we're talking like capital A qualified affordable housing, it is exceptionally hard to build in Astoria. And if they're tying it to our median incomes here, then the rents that they can get back from the clients who live there are even lower than, say, in the Portland metro area. But the costs to build are just as high as in Portland, if not higher, due to our geological concerns and whatnot. So the city has some mechanism toolbox in order to be able to lower either certain regulatory hurdles, like to streamline processes, so there's a less instability in the process. I think the Owens 2 project is a great example where, it was almost ready. And then now there is this issue with the geotech report that, now that NOAA is spending money on lawyers when they could be spending it on building housing. And so if we make that process more straightforward, we have system development charges in the city that are charged to new buildings that are being built. And I think that it'd be worth looking at doing an exemption for affordable housing or workforce housing projects so that they do not have to pay those SDC charges. And then control over property tax rates and things for certain projects, we could look at that. But overall, the sense I get from developers when I talk with them is that they're just a little bit or it's been a fraught process in the past. So I think the city can create we need to create a new reputation where we want developers here. Like, developers are not bad, they're not scary. but we want to work with them to develop what the community needs and wants. But we need to be. It's a hard thing to do to build housing, so we need to be a partner in that instead of something that kind of trips projects up.
And you mentioned that you've talked to some developers. Could you tell me about those conversations? Like what sort of context did that happen in?
You broke up a little bit there. Can you
Oh,
repeat
sorry.
that?
Yeah, you mentioned you had talked to some developers. Could you tell me a little bit more about those conversations? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So as a city council candidate, I've been just talking with people who um, are involved in different ways, and I've been wanting to learn from them and from their experience. So I contacted Julie Garver, who was the project manager for the Merwin when they renovated that building. She works at Innovative Housing, and I just basically asked her like, how did that go? Like, how was it working with the city? What kind of hurdles did you come across? And they're actually working on the Copeland Commons building as well. That's in the planning process. So she'll be coming back to Astoria to do some more work. And so she talked about things like parking requirement issues and the geotech stuff that we deal with here. And I was just wanting to. I approached her because I just wanted to know more. I don't build housing myself, so I work on houses and fix them, but I don't. I'm not a developer and landowner like that, and so I want to get the perspective of people who have done it. And the Merwin's one of the few successful projects that have happened in Astoria, at least since I've lived here, that have been built. And I know that one was not easy to do. And so I knew that because she had talked to one of my other classes at the college when I was in the historic preservation program. And and so she had kind of at the time told me that uh, they had some issues and it like kind of stopped and started and whatnot. So I wanted to get more perspective on that from her.
Cool,
But even
cool.
small scale developers, like I have people that I know in town who own multiple um, houses and they've had issues with being able to maybe turn a single family home into a duplex and they want to create 2 units out of it, but there's city requirements like zoning rules that kind
Mhm.
of trip that up. I have another friend who's um, having issues with building permits for her basement that she's turning into a livable space, and she wants to have it be a separate unit. And have connected with her in order to hear like what those issues are. But while we do want safe um, uh, living spaces for people, if the permit process just by bureaucracy is getting in the way, I think the city should be working on that as hard as possible in order to clear that up. Because we have someone who wants to create housing and just can't because for whatever reason, she has an issue with a permit. And so just hearing big, big, there's small
You
barriers that I think that we could smooth out.
you broke up just a little bit there on the last couple of sentences.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just from talking with Julie at Innovative Housing and other homeowners here in town who want to create essentially ADU units, and they're having issues with building permits. I've heard kind of small scale projects and big projects both hit hurdles that I think that we could smooth out going forward.
Cool. It sounds like you've done a lot of background on this. Um, uh, Another issue that's I think on a lot of our minds here in Astoria is the waterfront. You know, we have a beautiful and productive waterfront, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are for how that should be developed. I know there are some projects in the works down there, and just could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. And so I mean, it's clear that people in Astoria want to have the waterfront generally have the same access that it has now. I think it's really great that we have the river walk and that we have spaces where people can enjoy the river there. I mean, we have some projects now that are being built that are bigger than I think, or they're planned, they're not actually started yet. they're bigger than people want them to be. But unfortunately, they were started before we changed some of those rules. I think the rules that we do have are for future projects are good. They preserve view corridors in certain places. They have height limits. Um, I think our tourism industry is really important, and a lot of those hotels want to be right on the water. Uh, but manage that with that's good for our economy to a certain scale, but we don't want to just build these huge behemoths along the water anymore. I do think that if we have space near the water, building sensibly sized projects would be good, whether that's housing or other commercial ventures, because if we can have a diversified economy that's not just relating to tourism, then that's going to be better for all of us, because then we won't have this seasonal slump, and we right in such a precarious position in case tourism starts to drop off for whatever reason.
Yeah, like a pandemic or something.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, even if the economy gets bad, people have much money
mhm.
to go on vacation. So, but if we have a working waterfront or working anywhere area in town, then our economy will be able to weather those slumps more easily.
So that's all I have for my prepared questions. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Um, I just want to say that my kind of style as someone who is a leader, I like to listen to people. I like to understand where they come from. As you kind of mentioned, I'm really big on doing research and trying to understand problems. And so I've since I became a candidate, have just been asking everyone I know in Astoria, like, what do you think Astoria's biggest problems are, and just taking that feedback. So as a counselor for Ward 4, I'd be happy to listen to people in my neighborhoods and work on their issues.
Great. And how should they get in touch with you?
Right now, as a candidate, the best way is through my campaign email, which is Vance for Astoria Ward 4 at gmail.com. And that's for FOR. If all else fails, my company, Astoria Wood Windows, it's a little easier to find us on the internet there. And just contact me through my website on that. But I'm also on Facebook at Vance Lump. Just first and last name. And I've had people already send me messages on Facebook about as a candidate. And so if anyone wants to reach me there, that's a good way.
Okay, great. So it's been lovely talking to you. And we will get this recording posted, and we'll send it out to you once we've finished our interviews for this Astoria position. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. It was lovely getting to know you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.